Yo, what is up everyone? Jay here with another Fire Emblem Heroes video, and today I'm going to be analyzing my boy Winter Marth Weapon Refine that just dropped. And as of me making this video, the Refine hasn't even been out for a day, so I wanted to just make this because I have a lot to talk about. I'm super excited for this Refine, and I've been waiting for it for about 2 years now, 3 years. I mean, he released in 2019. I plus 10 him in 2020. So I have been waiting for a long time because I've been using him in every single mode, as you guys might know, extensively. Pretty much every mode, arena, aether raids, summer duels, you name it. So, as someone has been using him for that long and has every single Marth at plus 10, I think this video is something I can make, and it's just going to be fun analysis. So it's going to be a pretty lengthy video, and it's going to be a deep analysis. I'm going to be talking about the Refine, my thoughts on it, my critiques on it, how it affects its matchups, combat, etc. So it is going to be lengthy, but I hope you enjoy it. Even if you don't have a Marth, maybe you'll just like hearing me talk about this, because some units I don't even have, but I still like looking at their builds. And even if you have like a, I don't know, you have like a budget or low merch Marth, this video might help you. You might get some ideas or learn some things. So hopefully you guys enjoy the video. So let's get into it. So Tanngrisnir is here. And before, I guess we should start with how it was before. So Tanngrisnir basically before just had +3 to all your stats and special charges per your attack if you had a bonus. So that was pretty nice back in the day because Winter Marth released in 2019, and this was before save skills. So Winter Marth at that time when he released was a pretty unique armor because even before saves there wasn't many player phase armors, not that much, and Marth being a ranged unit was really cool, and he can just nuke opponents because Fire Emblem hit hard. And he can hit trigger it on the second hit thanks to that special charge. And having Daring Fighter, which synergized perfectly with it, was really cool. So he was basically like an infantry bow unit as an armor. That was pretty unique with the Fire Emblem special. And also this was before Shining Emblem too. So he was pretty unique in that type. But of course the weakness with armors is they can only move one space without running some other skills or getting support. So that was one weakness of his. And you have to run armor march or armor boots if you really wanted him to get around because he is sluggish. So that was one weakness. So that was one of the expectations that I had before the Refine came out, and some of my friends had, that maybe he would get extra movement, such as like, I don't know, Assault Troop or like Oath 4 would have been cool if they ended up making this Refine a player phase Refine. That would have been cool, but they went in a completely different direction. They went enemy phase for it, which I'm glad about because I wanted the more enemy phase Refine than the player phase one personally, because I think that would have made him more unique. And they made him more unique than I would have expected because they gave him speed preempt, which is very unique and rare because that's not a very common skill, and armors can't even use it if you use a save skill. So I guess I should have expected it though, because Marth is one of the kings of Vantage. Brave Marth loves it. His wife also does it. So I guess I should have expected it, but I didn't, because speed preempt is not really used in armors. So I love it whenever they make refines that give units skills they normally don't have. For example, like Fallen Tiki getting bonus doubler because armors can't get bonus doubler, stuff like that. So I like how they basically gave that to Marth, having this unique speed preempt, because there's really no other save armor that can have Vantage when they save. So that's really unique. And also another expectation or prediction I had was damage reduction, maybe, because damage reduction would have been cool because he doesn't have that outside of Savvy Fighter. So that would have been cool, but not too much of a big deal, honestly. Bonus doubler is another one because he does have the bonus doubler dual skill, so that could that would have doubled down, no pun intended, on his dual skill. So that would have been cool, but of course low skills are there. True damage would have been nice because Marth, while obviously mine is max invested, he doesn't hit the hardest. He kind of needs his special charges or his specials to trigger to kill some of the bulkier opponents. So true damage would have been nice because his attack, while it's not terrible, it's not the best either. So it's like mid 30s. So that would have been nice. But the next one I would have really loved is some healing. Healing would have been better because he is a tank after all, and even though he's trying to kill them before they can even do anything to him, that healing would have been nice to have in case they do survive. And just post combat you get that healing just like Brave Marth does, or per hit or something. So healing would have been really cool, and it would have been perfect as well because Elise is here, his sister is a healer. So I really wish he had healing. That would have been nice because this Refine, while it's nice, I really wish that was one of the extra effects, or they gave it something else, or 1 or 2 extra effects, and healing would have been nice. But yeah, that would have been cool. And then another one, this one's just copium. This would have never happened. There's like 99% sure, like obviously it didn't, but this was no chance it would ever happen. Speed based flat damage reduction. So this is the same thing as what Asker and Spring Maria have, except it would be for speed. Obviously, they never do that, but if they did, it would have been so unique for Marth, even more unique, because we only have defense flat damage reduction so far, and speed-based flat damage reduction would have been so cool. But again, this is just me being super wishful. I definitely did not expect this. It's just more of a pipe dream, I guess. So yeah, those are some of the expectations before the refine, and how it turned out is now he has an easier condition to have the +4 to all stats. Basically, he gets +8 to all stats compared to only +3 before, which is great. You always want extra stats in these days. And now he gets special cooldown charges per attack. So before it was just his attacks, but now it's also any attack that hits him. So this is great because enemies can help him trigger his special. So it's basically like a breath skill, you know, you just get that special charge. And like I said, he really wants that special charges. And he gets this easily because now he doesn't have to have a bonus. He can also just be alive or greater than or equal to 50% HP. So that's great. Easier condition is always nice. And then the refine part in the green. The best part of the refine, if unit is within 3 spaces of an ally, he grants +4 to all of his stats during combat. And if the foe initiates, the foe initiates and uses a bow. So if they're a ranged foe, you know, bow, dagger, magic, or staff, and he's faster than them, then he can counterattack before the foe's first attack, which is the speed preempt. And he can also make a follow-up attack before the foe can counterattack. So this is reverse desperation. So speed preempt and desperation, reverse desperation, which is really cool. Again, this makes him very unique because no other save armor can do this. So having vantage or speed preempt and desperation is really cool because even if he can't kill on the first hit, he might be able to kill on the second because he has a desperation, which is funny because he pretty much has daring. He has daring fighter, which is a player phase desperation, and now he has an enemy phase desperation. So he has desperation in both phases. So that's pretty cool. And that will lead into my next point is why, you know, Savvy Fighter, I think, is just his overall best B skill because, I mean, it was before, I think, but for save skills, but now, or save builds, but now, this is definitively his best B in my opinion because it gives him the no follow-up, which is huge because it lets him get that desperation because without it, he might be stopped against follow-up negation, but with Savvy Fighter, it lets him have that full no follow-up and also damage reduction, which he doesn't normally have. So Savvy Fighter is just so good because it pretty much ensures those doubles with the Tanngrisnir. And the damage reduction there is like a fail-safe in case he doesn't kill, similar to Brave Marth. So I like that a lot. He does have other options. We'll get into those later. But speed preempt. Savvy Fighter is just amazing for him. So I guess if you are investing into him, you pretty much have to get this skill because Special Fighter is not useful anymore because you have the special charges anyway. So Special Fighter is useless. So Savvy Fighter is the way to go if you can get it. It's only on Valentine's Lucina. So when she came out, I had to get that skill for him. And yeah, that's really amazing with his weapon. So, you know, also one thing to keep in mind is Marth is a ranged armor, so he can't use Hardy Fighter. So Savvy Fighter is pretty much the second best, you know, option, I guess. You know, so the easier condition on the refine, more stats, special charges, speed preempt, and desperation just really synergize really well outside of his native daring fighter, of course. So what's nice about his effect on the speed preempt and desperation is that he only has to be within 3 spaces of an ally. That's a very lenient range. Marth really hasn't had a PRF with that kind of condition before. It's usually always within 2 spaces like Genesis Falchion, so I like that a lot. But of course, if you're far away 3 spaces, you won't trigger your save skill because saves require you to be within 2. But you don't have to run save. Even if he's not being able to far save someone, he can still, of course, trigger his speed preempt and be a nice range check or counter on his own. So you don't have to run save skill if you don't want to give him save skill like mine. You know, you don't want to invest too much. You can give him, you know, just his joint hone speed and he can still be a pretty decent range check. So I like that a lot, that the condition is easy. And you know, with his special charges, if Marth kills the opponent before his second hit, that means he'll just have Fire Emblem ready on the next combat, which is cool. So then he can just fire it off on the next Vantage hit. And you know, even if he doesn't, he can just trigger it on the second hit. So that's great. I guess you can experiment with like 4 cooldown specials, but in my opinion, I think right now, at least on paper, just seeing this refine, because again, it's only been a day. Hasn't even been a day since refine dropped, so I have to do a lot more testing. I've only done a couple matches with him, but I think Fire Emblem and Deadeye are just overall the best specials, especially on budget because he already has Fire Emblem. I guess you can run Glimmer and Moonbow, but I think Fire Emblem is just better because he's so fast and he can buff his allies and himself. But I just think Fire Emblem or Deadeye are just overall more reliable. but I guess I can try and test other higher cooldown specials. But yeah, I just think those specials are the best for him. So yeah, those are some of the improvements on Tanngrisnir. And then some things I like about the Refine, I like how it capitalizes on his speed, having that speed preempt. I really love that. Though I do wish they utilized more of his speed stat, like giving him speed-based true damage would have been cool. You know, but he is a dual hero, so I guess I shouldn't have expected that much, but it could have been a lot worse, you know. And thankfully, because of his Refine giving him those special charges, he can pretty much reliably trigger those, you know, barring some effects like guard and stuff like that. But he really needs the specials against some of the bulkier foes to kill them, so that's really cool. And again, it makes him a unique save armor because armors can't use speed preempt, and almost none of them use desperation besides Winter Marth, who had Daring Fighter that has desperation. So he was like one of the only few good users of it. That's why they never released another unit with it, pretty much. So, and because like even though he lacks the -1 special cooldown in his weapon, having those special charges is great, pretty much automatic, quote unquote, because he doesn't have to run special fighter, like I said, and he doesn't have to rely on units like Brave Lucina. So that's amazing. And again, Savvy Fighter is just perfect because it lets him double reliably, and having those Fire Emblem procs or whatever 2 cooldown special you have can trigger on the second hit as long as he can double, and Savvy Fighter lets him get those doubles. So that is amazing. And Vantage strategies, you know, I love Vantage strategies, as you guys might know. It's right up my alley. I never get tired of it. Brave Marth's amazing with it. Legendary Sheeta is amazing with it. I just love Vantage strategies, and you know, this is great. And like units like Brave Byleth, who's also another good Vantage user, Marth can just kill her before she even triggers Divine Pulse, and she'll get none of her effects. Like, she can't activate it. So it's just funny that the previous best speed preemptor now has a problem with the next speed preemptor with Winter Marth. So yeah, that's pretty cool. But yeah, some few things for Marth to, not a few things, but he's got to watch out for a lot of things. There's so many units in this game, but a few things I'll go over that Marth has to watch out for. Of course, units that are faster than him. So units that are like, for example, Legendary Alm, who can give him issues because he can get extremely fast and also can pierce through his damage reduction that he might have thanks to Lunar Flash. And also like Ascended Joshua can be annoyance to Winter Marth because he has the Fire Sweep effect and also has buff neutralization. So anyone who can get faster or cancel his buffs can definitely stop his speed preempt and his whole niche here. So you have to watch out for that. Another thing you have to watch out for is, I mentioned it earlier, guard effects, of course, because those can hinder his special acceleration, and he needs that to kill bulkier foes and ensure some KOs. So guard effects, of course, ever so present. You got to watch out for that. Guard status, you know. And then Embla, of course, the newest beast on the block. She's an incredible, she does not care about you. She's an incredibly crazy unit, and she's the reason why save skills aren't as useful now, and they're definitely nerfed. But you know, you definitely have to watch out for her because not only does she cancel his far save, but she also doesn't let him get support from allies because of her feud skill. So units like, I guess, base Marth or let me see, where's my Elamine at? Yeah, Elamine, I can't even find her. Where is she? Yeah, Elamine's one of the units that she can stop because she does not care about something like Distant Guard. There she is. So Embla is just ridiculous. So you have to watch out for her. I guess that can be said about any save tank, but Winter Marth especially, because he can't stack speed as easily for his speed preempt. And another thing he has to watch out for is, of course, units that have hardy bearing. And I guess this goes to say for any kind of Vantage sweeper, but you know, units like Legend of Lena who have hardy bearing in her weapon, you know, you have to watch out for that because she can still kill him even before the Refine. Of course, she'd be able to kill him if she's optimized with like double life and death. Marth does have a better matchup now because he does have more stats and Savvy Fighter there to maybe survive. It just depends on the build, of course, and the situation and the support. But you know, and also bonus doubler can help as well because most of the Lenas don't run, in my experience, they don't really run low speed res, which would really stop Marth from killing her. But most of them just run traces. So bonus doubler can definitely help the matchup against the Legend of Lena. That's just one of the threats. You know, she has hardy bearing and of course the hardy bearing seal, so you have to watch out for that. But he does have a much better matchup against a lot of the ranged threats. And the next one we'll talk about is Duocrom. So Duocrom, even before the Refine, if the Crom wasn't speed invested, Marth could survive if he didn't have Deadeye charge. So he had to be slow and he had to have Deadeye not pre-charged. And Marth would be able to live, at least, you know, mine, because I'm max invested. But he would be able to survive with enough speed stacking and Savvy Fighter. But of course, if he has Deadeye, then Marth's just dead no matter what, you know. But for now, with the refine and play, he changes the matchup against Duocrom, because even if Marth can't kill him still, like let's say he's just like on the defense tile, has like max defense, even if Marth can't kill him, Marth can still do a good amount of damage with his Fire Emblem special. Deadeye probably won't do much because Deadeye doubles your damage, so even if you're doing like, if you're doing 2 damage, then Deadeye's going to double that, so you're going to do 4, you know? So Fire Emblem special is just nice to have that damage output, so even if you can't kill the Crom, even with the special, at least you can weaken the Crom. You know, that can help in summer duels where, you know, you might have a far save tank, you kind of sacrifice it and then have your other units clean up, you know? But it definitely changes the matchup against Duocrom because he's the most infamous range unit. He's all over arena in every mode. So Marth's matchup against him does improve, and there's some things to note, you know, because one of them is the advantage that Marth has, the speed preempt, can backfire. And this is similar to things to Brave Marth that I've talked about before, where Brave Marth's advantage can backfire on him because if you fight a unit that has 1 cooldown and you vantage into them and you don't kill them, then you might die to their special. And it's happened to me before, so that's why I run Kaden with Brave Marth, so the guard effect is there, so that doesn't happen. But with Winter Marth here, you just run Crestful Stance or some kind of stance skill to have the guard effect. So as long as the Crom is attacking you, and even if you vantage him and you think you're going to die to his special, you won't because you have the guard effect. So that is really good, and that's why, in my opinion, I think Kestrel Stance, or I guess you can run Steady Posture, is his best A slot, because you get the guard effect, which is just so invaluable against units like Crom. Obviously, this is still a matchup that is dangerous. I'm not, you know, implying that you should use Winter Marth to count. He's not a counter to Duocrom, but his matchup is just way better now because of his vantage and having more stats and whatnot, and having the special charges. So that's one thing to note. But of course, if he has Deadeye charge, then you're pretty much dead if you can't kill him on the vantage. So that's another thing. So like I said, Kestrel Stance I think is his best A slot now. Before, I used to run Distant Defense 4 sometimes, but you could run that still, but you know, to neutralize buffs. But the thing is, you won't get enough speed, and you want as much speed as you can get because of his Refine having the speed checked on the vantage. So that is things you have to keep in mind. But like I said, you could experiment more with other skills, but I think this build that I just have right here is his best one overall. But yeah, now I'm just going to go switch to some of the arena matches that I showed, just testing them a bit. Again, I haven't tested them that much, but you can see it in action, so I'll be back. Okay, so here are some of the matches I was able to test in Arena with Winter Marth Refine, and as you can see, this team is entirely range units, so it's perfect, and especially Duocrom, who I wanted to test it against the most, so just watch what happens here. So this is standard +10, dual Thor, Ninja Korin, Ninja Lin, Duocrom with low skill, attack defense ideal, which is not really that great, but you'll see what happens. So as I keep saying, or what I've been saying, is that Winter Marth's matchup does improve against Duocrom, and you will see it in just a moment after we kill the rest of these, because none of these guys have any chance of surviving. Ninja Korin, she's super frail. She can stack enough speed if she can, but my Marth is ready for prime time, so she's dead, not taking any damage. Summer Thor has no chance to be faster than us. Even with Hardy Bearing, she wouldn't even do that much. So there she's dead. And then Ninja Lin. So all 3 of these super common flyers, especially in Arena, because flying maps or flying units are very, very advantageous on these maps. And then Duocrom. So watch what happens here. I'm going to set up the rallies here. I'm just going to end my turn. I am on a defense tile, but so is he. And you can see, as I've been saying, if he does not have Deadeye pre-charge, you have a chance to survive. And even before the Refine, Winter Marth had a chance to survive. But now you can actually deal a good amount of damage to him before he does any damage to you. So watch. I do 1 damage on the first hit, or should I say 1 damage normally. But with the special, I ended up doing a lot more. So watch. Deadeye would have not done that much because Deadeye would have just doubled my damage, and I would do like 2 damage. So even though I took a lot of damage and we're both low, Crom can attack me again, but he's not going to win because I do have the advantage. So, you know, it just comes in clutch, and it's going to be super annoying for some of the ranged people and people who love to use Duocrom. As long as he doesn't have Hardy Bearing, Winter Marth can handle him pretty well there. Of course, his Deadeye was not charged. If Deadeye was charged or he had Hardy Bearing, it'd be different, but I'm just showing how it can sway the matchup. And here is Atri, another range flyer that's very popular. Even with her Divine Recreation damage reduction, doesn't matter because I can just double her on the second hit and she can survive that no matter what. No chance of surviving that. She even has Sturdy Impact. So, I mean, even before the Refine, probably be able to do it, but still, just showing the power of that reverse desperation because she can't even do any damage to me. So Atre's gone. And then after this, we're going to deal with Duocrom, who's going to come up and just watch this interaction. We actually end up losing this one because this Crom is actually stronger. He has attack res ideal, has low skill, joint drive attack, which gives more attack, and then bonus doubler. So he's going to kill me, but watch how much damage I'm able to deal before I die. So he's going to attack me. I don't know why I use my dual skill there. It doesn't really matter. But yeah, we're just going to set it up and then wait for Crom to come up. And this is why the Fire Emblem special is just better, because at least for doing damage compared to Deadeye, because I do 11 on the first hit, and then once my Fire Emblem procs after the reverse desperation, I do 38. So he almost died right there. He lives with 3 HP. So if I had some kind of joint drive attack support or something, you know, that Crom would have been dead. And keep in mind, this Crom is also on a defense tile. He doesn't have attack defense ideal, of course, but still, the fact that I was able to almost kill him right there is pretty impressive. And he has a lot of stats in combat. So again, if he does not have Deadeye Charge, Marth has a chance to survive, so the matchup is a lot better now. But still, this is not a matchup I would advise. Don't just park your Winter Marth, your Farsight Winter Marth, or just in general, I guess, in front of a Duocrom, because it's still not advantageous and it's still a sensitive matchup. But again, you could still win. And then the third example I have here is against Lina. Lina, you know, she has Hardy Bearing in her weapon, so she can be annoying to Winter Marth. I'm just going to set up my dual skill, and I'm going to get enough stats here to the point where this Lina doesn't even want to attack me. She doesn't want anything to do with Winter Marth, and I think that, is that Lina optimized? Yeah, it's double life and death, so even with that, like the strongest hitting gifted magic Lina doesn't want none of the smoke with Winter Marth here. So watch, Eligard's going to move it forward, and then, yeah, we're just going to try to bait her out again. So yeah, move like this. And you're going to see how little Lina does. Of course, we're on the defense tile, but still, you know, your matchup against Lina and Duocrom improve a lot. Those two really common ranged red units. So, yeah, Lina's just gone. So that is pretty awesome. And then the last one here is going to be against Summer Claude. He's not, you know, I guess he's really good, but he's not like super most common meta unit, I guess. And this one has B-Dual flying. But I just wanted to show that even with Fallen Star and his shenanigans, you know, Marth can easily kill him because after the damage reduction, he just dies to the second hit, and Fire Emblem will trigger. He could do this before with the regular Tanngrisnir pre-refined, but you have to run Deadeye to kind of deal with him. But now you don't really have to run it. You can just run Fire Emblem, as you just saw right there. So those are just some of the range threats that Winter Marth can handle. Even Duocrom, again, there's exceptions. If he does not have Deadeye Charge, you have to have him not have that charged, of course, otherwise you're dead. But yeah, it's just interesting to see, and it's really nice that I have this advantage as a annoyance to people, because, you know, if you rely on a lot of range units, you're gonna have to break through this guy. So yeah, those are just some of the arena matches I tested. There's still a lot more testing I have to do in the next coming days and weeks, of course, with Winter Marth, and I might make more videos like an Aether Raids to test them out and show it off. But yeah, so those are some of the just some of the tests. Alright, so now that you saw a little bit of what he can do and how it changes some of the matchups, now I can just talk about some of the build options you might run for him. So this build right here that I've been showing off is just pretty much the best build, I think, in my opinion, overall, because you have Savvy Fighter, which is his best B, and Kestrel Stance, which is also his best A, in my opinion, because that guard effect is just so invaluable. And the form skill, the seal is flexible. The seal is pretty flexible, but I like having the form skill just to have more stats. Before, I would run speed res form, but if you really want to optimize and hone in on getting those kills with the attack and speed, then attack speed form is better, obviously. But speed res, it's never bad to have more res, of course, in case you don't kill or something. But you know, attack speed form I think is better overall to optimize it. And once attack speed far save releases, then that would optimize him even more. So if that ever comes out, I definitely might give it to him. But again, having more res is never bad. But if you're just trying to kill and as much as you can with the first hit on the Vantage Speed Preempt and the Reverse Desperation, then yeah, go for attack speed form. So I guess you can also run Distant Defense 4. I mentioned that earlier. And if you really want to stop people's buffs, but then you lose speed, so it's not going to be as effective to have the speed preempt. And also, if you run Distant Defense 4, then you ideally would want to have a would really want to have the guard effect, so you run Crafty Fighter. But if you run Crafty Fighter, you lose the damage reduction from Savvy, and you also don't have no follow-up. And you also get the guaranteed follow-up, which you don't really need because, you know, you double most people anyway, so it's kind of a waste, you know. So I just like Savvy Fighter overall. But that's another alternative, I guess, if you really want Distant Defense 4. Another option that's pretty cool in the B slot would be Mystic Boost 4. So Mystic Boost 4 is on Ascended Air. I don't have her, so obviously I can't show it here. But even if I had her, I'm not sure I would actually give this to Marth. But it is a cool option because it lets him counterattack against Dazzling Staffs or Fire Sweep Mages or anyone who has Fire Sweep. So for example, Ascended Joshua, who I mentioned earlier, you'll be able to counter against him with no problem. I don't know, if like Summer Byleth gets fast enough, you don't care because you have the Mystic Boost 4. And you also get healing because you don't have that normally. So you get the healing that you're missing, and you also get the adaptive damage nullification. So Mystic Boost 4 is pretty decent. You get to stop a lot of annoying units like young Lara Shell, who's not that common, but like any kind of annoying healer for like Flash and stuff, you can counter them with Mystic Boost 4. So that is something to consider. And then another skill to consider in the B is Special Spiral 4, the amazing new B skill that is on Rearmed Ophelia. That's another good option because he can loop Fire Emblem, and not only can he loop it without having to charge it up really after you charge it up the first time. Not only can you loop it, you also have some true damage with it, and you can also pierce through damage reduction when your special triggers. So not only is Fire Emblem hitting hard with the extra damage, but you can also pierce through damage reduction. So that is really, really cool. So you don't really have to run Deadeye if you do opt Special Spiral 4. I guess the downside to it is that Tanngrisnir's charges kind of go to waste after you loop it. But you also lose the no follow-up and damage reduction from Savvy Fighter. So that's why I think Savvy Fighter is just so good. And it's his best B overall. But Special Spiral 4 would be incredibly fun on him. But if I do ever get that, I'd rather give that to Brave Marth, I feel like, than Winter Marth, because he doesn't really need it as much. I mean, neither does Brave Marth, but Special Spiral 4 with his Vantage style would be pretty cool. But either way, those are two other options, Mystic Boost 4 and Special Spiral 4. So those are just some of the builds. There's a lot more builds that you might be able to think of, but those are the more notable ones. I know my boy PM1 is making the refined video, and when he does release it, he might have released it by the time I release my video, but he might have some builds that I might not even think of. So that's just some things to consider, I think. But for me, at least for this video, I'm not going in depth with builds, showing them off, but those are just two skills that I think would be kind of cool, Mystic Boost 4 and Special Spiral 4. So yeah, gonna wrap up the video just talking final comments, I guess. Unfortunately, his refine, it came out right after Embla, and Embla is a huge, nerf to saves. So it would have been nice to have this refine when saves were at their peak and they didn't have anything in their way, but Embla is here now, so gotta watch out for her. And, I did mention at the beginning, I am personally glad that this refine is tailored towards the enemy phase, which is better. Even though saves are nerfed, it's better than being a player phase armor, and it would have sucked if it was like a player phase armor but you didn't have any movement. That would have been terrible. So I'm glad they went with this because it's unique and it's very fun. And I also wish that he had Shining Emblem, just like his other versions, Brave Marth and Legendary Marth, but I knew they would never give it to him. Maybe someday we'll get like dual remixes, I don't know. But Fire Emblem is still solid despite not being as strong as Shining Emblem, so it's still good. And again, some of the matchups you got to watch out for Duochrome, so don't just think he's invincible because you have Vantage. That's just like kind of a misconception. Just because you have Vantage doesn't mean you're going to kill him, so watch out for that. But he's incredibly good against a lot of the meta range flyers like Spring Sonia, Atri you saw in the video, Ninja Lin, New Year Dagger, Ninja Legyar, Ninja Camilla, or just frail range units in general. Like Reinhardt, for example. Reinhardt will never be able to be as fast as Marth, so even if you have a budget Winter Marth will be able to handle Reinhardt really easily, and some of the other lower rarity range units that I can't think of right now. But yeah, he's a great check and counter to them. And but of course, if you really want to make the most use of this refine, you don't have to have him at plus 10 like me, but of course you do have to invest a little bit into him because his base stats are not that great on merge. Like, look, I have max flowers, max merges, and summer support, I only reach 39 res. So if you really want more bulk, you have to invest in him. Obviously the bonus doubler skill does help though, so that's great. That gives him extra bulk and power. And despite that, it is an outdated dual skill, and criminally it does not work on Marth Emblem, which I always hated. That kind of really sucks, but it's still bonus doubler, and it can be incredibly clutch against some nukes. And this helps in like summer duels where some turns I can just die to an AoE, but then I proc my I use my dual skill, the bonus doubler, and now they got to rethink it because they can't kill me. And not only do they have to rethink that with the skill in summer duels, but they also have to rethink now attacking you because you have the Vantage, and it's incredibly annoying. And that can be incredibly annoying against a lot of ranged nukes, especially flyers if they're not running Hardy Bearing. And even if they are running Hardy Bearing, if you're invested like me, they might not even kill. So if you have Savvy Fighter or something, you can still kill them even if they have Hardy Bearing. But of course, Hardy Bearing makes it a lot harder for you. But yeah, at least the dual skill for Marth is better than what dual Ephraim got, because dual Ephraim's were fine. It gave him extra movement, and that's great and all, but it's an overlap because his dual skill also gives him extra movement. So at least for Marth, it's something new, even though it's not the best. But at least it's not an overlap. And you know, the refine overall, I think if I could rank it out of a 10, I'd give it like a 7 out of 10 or an 8. Honestly, we'll have to see how this fares in Aether raids as I keep playing, but it's pretty solid, man. Like, I can't really complain too much. You know, 1 or 2 more effects would have been nice, but overall, I'm really happy with this. And you know, if you're disappointed that the refine is not player phase oriented and it didn't capitalize on his previously good player face niche, then you know, you can still run other bows on him. You can just use Daring Fight. If you really want to use Daring Fighter, just run Ninja Yumi. That's a build I use on him. I gotta update some of these, but Ninja Yumi sometimes I use. Yeah, Ninja Yumi, you want to run that, you can also use that, or White Cat Bow, I guess, if you really want to use his Daring Fighter. So that's an option. But it's cool that he's good in both phases now. It's enemy phase and player phase, and that's really what I wanted. So overall, again, 8 out of 10 refine, 7 out of 10 refine, around there. You know, he can be pretty nice in arena and a lot of the modes if you invest into him. And overall, I'm pretty content with refine. It makes him a formidable foe and unique in the save armor class, and he can just kill them before they can even do anything. So yeah, that is my analysis and thoughts on Winter Marth refine. I know this video is pretty long. If you watch this entire thing, props to you. I really appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed the video. Again, I will try to make showcase videos maybe down the line if I have time, showing off more of what this new refine can do, because it's really sick, honestly. And I love Vantage strats. I keep saying that, but just love Vantage strats. So again, leave a like if you enjoyed, and I hope you enjoyed the video, guys. Let me know what you're running on your Winter Marth, if you do use him at all. I know he's a rare seasonal that not many people have, you know, but for me, I'm super happy, and I'm sending luck to all my friends who are trying to plus 10 him this upcoming, because there is the new power banner, and then he's getting a rerun in Christmas. So shout out to those friends. You guys know who you are. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Leave it a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe for more fave videos. Happy holidays, guys. Please stay safe out there, and peace out.